12 seconds. One heartbeat of the Ethereum network. That's all it took for roughly $25 million to quietly change hands. And in that moment, no one noticed a thing. The people who did it weren't hooded hackers in a basement. They were two brothers, Anton and James Pereira Bueno, MIT graduates. James studied math, computer science, and aerospace engineering. Anton, computer science. And their father once chaired the aeronautics department at the same institute. A fair disclaimer up front, and it runs through the whole story. As of the summer of 2026, the brothers are not convicted, so formally, allegedly. But the technical actions themselves, they did not dispute. The only argument was about one thing, whether it's even a crime at all. The U.S. Department of Justice called it the first of its kind. To understand how you can rob the very machine that Ethereum runs on, and, strangest of all, rob not ordinary people, but the predators who hunt you and me, you have to descend into a place this world calls the Dark Forest. Let's go back to the beginning. April 2nd, 2023. Inside a single Ethereum block, and a block here is just one entry in the network's shared ledger, which it adds roughly once every 12 seconds. About $25 million quietly changed hands. No alarm. No broken door. It all looks like the network simply doing its job. And the strangest part isn't the amount or the speed. The strangest part is who the brothers took it from. Not depositors. Not newcomers. Not retirees. They robbed the predators, the ones who quietly hunt ordinary people in this network every single day. To understand who these predators are and how two people outplayed them, we first have to understand how the forest itself works. Imagine you're making a transfer. In your crypto wallet, you tap confirm, add your digital signature, and the transaction flies off into the network. But it doesn't execute instantly. First, it lands in a waiting room. In technical terms, it's called the mempool, short for memory pool. It's a queue where your trade sits marked pending until someone picks it up into a block. And here's the key image of this whole story. That waiting room is made of glass. While your trade waits its turn, everyone can see it. Anyone can read what you're buying, how much, and what price you're willing to pay, including bots. Programs that watch this glass room around the clock and never blink. And inside that glass room, someone is already waiting who knows how to turn your own trade into a weapon against you. Now, the concept we're actually here for. An Ethereum block is a page in the shared ledger, and one participant on the network decides which trades land on that page, and in what order. Sounds boring, but that's exactly where the money is hidden. Because power over order is power. If you decide who goes before whom, you can slot your own trade into the perfect moment and profit. The profit you can squeeze from that power is called MEV, maximal extractable value. So who is this participant deciding the order? They're called a validator, a network participant who, in turn, earns the right to assemble and propose the next block. Back when Ethereum ran on mining, when powerful computers competed on raw computation to build blocks, that role belonged to miners. Which is why the M in MEV first stood for miner. But as Ethereum moved to validators, the industry swapped miner for maximal to keep the familiar acronym. The substance stayed the same. Whoever decides the order earns. So where does the image of the dark forest come from? In 2020, researchers at Paradigm wrote an essay called Ethereum is a Dark Forest. Their idea is simple and more than a little unsettling. That glass waiting room is a forest full of predators that fire at any sound. The moment you speak your trade out loud, sending it into that room, you've already been spotted. The authors themselves tried to rescue about $12,000 in stuck tokens. They moved carefully, thought through every step, and still lost the money in seconds. Bots watching the glass room made the same move first. So, the predators in this forest are bots. But how exactly do they attack an ordinary person? They have a trick that turns your own trade into a weapon against you. It's called the sandwich. The top slice. A bot buys the same token right before you. The bottom slice, right after you, it sells, squeezing out the difference. Let's start with the simpler trick. It's called front running. A bot sees your profitable trade sitting in the glass room. It copies it and pays a little more for priority, so it can slot in right before you. Picture a scalper who overheard your order and sprinted to the fast lane to buy before you could. There's a mirror version too, backrunning. Say someone just pushed the price up with a large buy. A backrunner slots in immediately after that trade, to be first to profit from the new price before anyone else notices. Being right after is the whole point. Now combine both tricks, and you get the sandwich attack, the main weapon of this story. A bot buys the same token right before you, and the price ticks up a little. Your trade executes at that inflated price. And right after you, the bot sells, pocketing the difference. You became the filling in a sandwich, one slice of bread on top, one on the bottom, and your money in the middle. But why don't you even notice? The culprit is a setting called slippage tolerance. It's how far you're willing to let the price move against you while your trade executes. You set it to, say, 1%, thinking, a little drift, I can live with that. The bot sees your limit and pushes the price exactly to it, not a hair further. The trade goes through successfully, no errors, no rejections. All you see is a result that's a little worse than expected, and you chalk it up to the market. So here's the scale that makes this worth understanding. Each individual sandwich nets the bot just a couple of dollars, sometimes 3 or 4. But there are tens of thousands of these attacks every month, somewhere between 60 and 90,000 by some estimates. And altogether, that's about $60 million a year, quietly skimmed off ordinary traders on Ethereum alone. An invisible tax that the victims never even know they're paying. And if the sandwich mechanic makes sense to you now, that's exactly why Thesis exists. We take the machine behind the money apart, bolt by bolt, until it stops being magic. Subscribe, it only gets better from here. We haven't even gotten to how two brothers turn this very weapon against the bots themselves. Bots hunt people through sandwiches. But why is this even possible? Why can anyone shuffle the order of trades so freely? The answer is a hidden factory that assembles every Ethereum block. And that factory is exactly where the brothers stuck their hand in. The root of it all is right here. That validator, the one chosen to propose the next block, decides the order of the trades inside it. An honest, naive validator just sorts by fee. Whoever paid more goes first. But a greedy validator can rearrange things cleverly to catch those very sandwiches or profit off price gaps between venues. It all comes back to order. And that's where the problem starts. If every small validator had to be a genius at extracting MEV, only giants with entire engineering teams would survive. The network would drift towards centralization. So Ethereum pushed that dirty, complicated work out into a separate supply chain. Picture a restaurant. First, searchers. These are bots that comb through the glass room and find profitable combinations of trades, including those very sandwiches. Second, builders. They're the specialist chefs. They take what the searchers found and assemble it into a full block, squeezing out maximum value. Next, an auction. Builders compete against each other. Whoever's finished block pays the validator the most wins. And the split between the one who cooks the block and the one who proposes it to the network has a name: proposer-builder separation. It's like splitting a restaurant into a chef and a waiter. The chef cooks. The waiter just carries out the best dish. The software that connects all of this is called MEV Boost. It plugs an ordinary validator into this ready-made block market, so they don't have to be a genius themselves. Here's the scale of it. Today, roughly 90% of all Ethereum blocks are assembled exactly this way. And now, the most important detail, the heart of the coming heist. In this chain, there's a middleman everyone trusts. It's called the relay. The relay works like an escrow, a sealed box with a condition attached. Step 1. The builder hands the relay a sealed box, a complete, finished block with every trade inside. Step 2. The validator only gets shown a label, how much the block pays, and that it exists. The contents, never. And here's the critical order of operations. The validator is required to sign a binding receipt first, the block header, promising to publish exactly this block, as is. Only after that signature does the relay open the box and reveal what's inside. Why such a strict order? So the validator can't peek inside, copy the builder's valuable trades, and steal them. The system protects the builder from the validator. And if a validator ever tries to cheat, signing 2 different blocks for the same slot, they get punished severely. The network calls it slashing. But here's the honest disclaimer worth remembering. The relay is a trusted party. The entire construction rests on one assumption, that the middleman behaves honestly and only opens the box after a genuine signature. And that is exactly the weak point. The relay opens the box only after a genuine signature. But what if the signature isn't genuine? That is the exact question two brothers asked the machine. And the machine answered, yes. Now that you know every detail, let's break down the heist step by step. Step 1. Infrastructure. The brothers ran 16 of their own Ethereum validators. That gave them a shot, every so often, at being the very validator proposing the block and getting inside the MEV Boost system, standing right next to that very box. Step 2. The bait. They placed a few tempting trades in the glass room, trades that looked like easy, juicy prey. The perfect sandwich target. Sandwich bots, obeying their predator instinct, threw themselves at the bait and built their attacks right around it. The predators got caught by the very thing that makes them predators. Step 3. The heart of the exploit. When the bot's attack landed in a block that the brothers' own validator happened to be proposing, they sent the relay a fake, invalid signature. Here's the subtlety, and it matters. This wasn't a missing signature, it was a forged one, something that looked just plausible enough to fool the relay. The relay believed it, and opened the box early, before the brothers ever truly signed the binding receipt, the real commitment to publish the block. The lock clicked too soon. Step 4. The actual theft. The block's contents were exposed. A sandwich bot attack is a bundle of 3 trades, meant to work as a single, indivisible unit. The brothers took that bundle apart, reordered and swapped the trades so the value flowed to them instead. The bait, which had been a buy, they turned into a sell. In the end, the bots were left holding tokens that were already worthless, while about $25 million went to the brothers. All of it fit inside a single block, those same roughly 12 seconds. Bait, deceive the relay, reorder, escape. Here's the image that sums up the whole story in one phrase. It's a sandwich made of the sandwich makers. The brothers robbed the robbers with their own trick, in their own forest. And this is where the argument begins, one that split even a federal jury. Is this theft, or did the brothers simply find a loophole in the rules of an open game first? Tell me in the comments what you think, theft or a smart move, and I'll tell you how it all ended. Subscribe so you don't miss it. Before we get to the verdict, one practical question. How do you avoid becoming the villain yourself? The good news, you can defend against a sandwich attack, and you don't need to be an engineer to do it. There are 3 layers of defense. Defense 1, tighten your slippage. Remember that slider, the one that sets how much price movement you'll accept? Set it narrow. For swapping dollar-pegged stablecoins, 0.1% is plenty. A wide tolerance is an open invitation. You're telling the bot exactly how much room it has to squeeze you. A narrow tolerance takes that room away. Defense 2, and let's be honest here. A tip to the validator, that extra payment for priority, speeds up your trade, but does not save you from a sandwich. The bot will simply pay more and end up in front again. Remember, speed is not privacy. Faster doesn't mean safer. Defense 3, and the main one. Send your trade not through the public glass room, but through a private, closed channel to the network. In technical terms, it's called a private RPC. There are free services for this, Flashbots Protect or MEV Blocker. They work simply. Your trade skips the glass room, traveling through a sealed pipe straight to the kitchen. The bot simply never sees it, which means it can't front-run it or squeeze it. As a bonus, these services also protect you from failed trades and even refund most of any intercepted value. And this isn't exotic anymore. By some estimates, as of early 2025, a significant share of all Ethereum transactions were already traveling this way. Let's be honest about the trade-offs too. Sometimes it takes a little longer to land, and in rare moments of network congestion, a little more expensive. For an ordinary person, that's a small price compared to simply not getting eaten. And one sharp warning before we move on. Don't blindly copy other people's rich wallets with huge profits. Many of them are bots or coordinated players, deliberately baiting copycats. They let the copycats pump the price, then dump everything on them. And the reality of this forest is brutal to everyone. Even Ethereum's single biggest sandwich bot, the one responsible for roughly 70% of all attacks, got caught in its own trap in 2026 and lost $7.5 million. A wallet that looks rich today can turn up empty tomorrow. In the dark forest, the predator is sometimes prey too. Now you understand both the hunt and the defense. One question remains, the most human one, the trial. Let's close the timeline. On May 15, 2024, the U.S. Department of Justice charged the brothers with 3 counts: conspiracy to commit wire fraud itself, and conspiracy to commit money laundering. Each one carries up to 20 years. Investigators called it the first case of its kind manipulating the Ethereum blockchain. Here's the heart of their defense, and the heart of the whole philosophical argument. On the blockchain, the brothers argued, the rules are public. Code is the rulebook, and it's open to everyone. We don't deny doing what we did, but we simply outplayed the bots at a game whose rules everyone already knows. This isn't theft. This is a win. And here's the twist, one that might surprise you more than any verdict. In the fall of 2025, the first trial reached a jury. 12 ordinary people sat down to decide, was reordering a block fraud or just a win in an open game? And they couldn't agree. They split. The jurors were exhausted. Reports said some of them cried and couldn't sleep. On November 7, 2025, the judge declared a mistrial. The most powerful legal system in the world looked at this case and essentially said, we don't know. And here's the answer to the question we started with. How the brothers stole $25 million in 12 seconds. We now know down to the last detail. Bait for the bots, a forged signature, deceiving the relay, reordering the trade bundle. But whether it became a crime, the law still hasn't decided. As of summer 2026, there's no verdict, no guilty plea, and no dismissal. A retrial looms ahead, but there's still no set date. Here's the big takeaway. The Pereira Bueno brothers case is a test for the entire idea that code is law. For now, there's no referee in the dark forest. And every time you click confirm, that's a step into this forest. The only difference now is that you at least know who's hunting in there, and how not to become the filling. And Ethereum is already trying to remove the trusted relay entirely, so that the middleman who can be deceived simply won't exist anymore. Exactly how? That's a story for another time. And on exactly who these bots are really feeding on every single day, I have a separate video. It's waiting for you right here. If this video helped you see the machine behind the money, subscribe. Honestly, that's the best thing you can do for this channel.